Alleluia. Om Mani Padme. Om Allah.
Welcome. You're watching Harmony and Diversity. This program we're speaking with Nicole Pryor of St Benedict's Catholic Parish in Burwood. In our last program, we explored Nicole's spiritual development as a Catholic, an interesting story. She now does some work, amongst other things, in the RCIA, and we'll explore that today. RCIA. Explain what those initials stand for, please, Nicole.
Oh, so it's the rite of the Christian initiation of adults. Okay. So it's, and you get the same thing for children, as I think I mentioned before. And so it's a process people who want to inquire into the Catholic faith, or people who've been baptized and want to go further with being confirmed, or the next stages in that faith development, the journey that they would go on. Okay,
so it can be baptism is the core to that aspect of it. So I want to go further to become part of the faith. I'm baptized,
yes, but
I go through that RCIA
yes.
process.
Yes.
Okay. And there's a series of rites, etc. It's reasonably complicated from my looking at it. Could you just outline what the process is?
Yes. Well, there are the different stages, because certainly on wanting to become Catholic, you might not be quite sure that that's what you want to do. So there's that time of inquiry. So there's the first sort of initiation inquiry time. What is this course about? What would we be covering? And then there's the next stage where you're thinking, actually, yes, I would like to find out more. And so you go through this next phase. I'm even forgetting the name of it now, but you've got the initiation. And then, having learned more of the sort of fundamentals of what our Catholic faith is all about, you would then think, all right, I'm going to, there's a sort of signing of names, a commitment to, yes, I want to continue further in learning about this Catholic faith, and I would like to become a Catholic. You're not committed to anything at that stage, but having learnt about the faith, this is the journey I want to follow. And then we sort of approach, in our Catholic faith, I think in the Christian faith, Lent is an important time. It's a time where we can put ourselves, walk that journey with Jesus, put ourselves in his shoes, be with him in this time of questioning, which is very much a sort of taste of life itself. In life, we've got lots of challenges, we've got lots of trials and tribulations, but that treading through it all with that end in sight. So that's sort of largely why we taken through Lent with this, and we have those different stages through Lent where we committing ourselves a little bit further to this Catholic faith, with things like our creed, which is what I believe. It's the words of our faith, of what we believe in our faith, and that then leads up to what I think people often find quite eye-opening, is when people just in the Greater Melbourne get together for this rite of initiation at the cathedral with our bishop, which is that gathering of all together, and that looking at our being that one family, a tiny speck of that one family of this Catholic Church that we choose to follow, until at Easter. It can happen at other times, but generally speaking we try to make it Easter, because at Easter it's that very important time. In fact, it's Good Friday to Easter. It's that time leading up to the death of Jesus.
Yes.
Jesus himself, who's God in human form. And that what we go through in that death leading to the resurrection is in fact what gives us meaning in this life, that there is in fact no such thing as as death, that life goes way beyond this. And it's this time of Easter where we know from much proof when we look at it of this man who defeats death. There is no such thing as death, there's life beyond death, that is this rising time and this time where people would usually commit to their Catholic faith. And it doesn't end there, because then there's that time of mystagogy, it's called, of this Easter season, which is just as long as that time of Lent, which is us putting ourselves in the 40 days of the time in the desert. We've got that same period of time, which if we study the life of this man Jesus, we see that there's that same length of time where his appearing to the people and showing that he's defeated death. There's that same period of time until he then says, all right, now I'm leaving you with my Holy Spirit, and I myself am joining the Father. So it's at that time, usually, that we then have people just simply as a part of the community.
Okay. So what's the duration of the RCIA process? It's many months by the sound of it.
Yes, I know that in many countries and many parishes, people choose a sort of 3-year cycle. They believe to learn the Catholic faith, you need 3 years. Not that 3 years is even going to be enough, 30 years is not enough, but some people do choose to take a longer period of time over it, saying, like any degree, you can't learn the faith in that short period of time. We here at St. Benedict's have chosen that period of time, feeling it's enough to show a glimpse of the faith, to give the knowing, and hence leave that desire to find out more, the desire to know more, realizing that it's a whole lifetime of learning.
Yes, that's very interesting. And you're making the distinction using the term faith, but clearly there's more happening there. It's the desire to open people to the potentiality of greater spiritual awareness.
Yes.
Is that?
No, certainly. I think that there's the academic side. There's the fact and all of that history of the church and the facts that we base our faith on, and the things that make us tick. And that's the things that we can
introduce a fact.
Indeed.
The time's out. So we'll go to a break. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Nicole Pryor of St. Benedict's Catholic Parish in Burwood. We're talking about the RCIA. You raised an issue which is really paramount, I think, in this whole issue, is the faith. There's faith at two levels. There's the faith at this level and the faith at this level. The fact that this is linked into Lent and it's linked into the crucifixion, to Easter.
Yes.
What impact do you think that has on the catechumens, the people, the candidates, the people who are doing this? They're being opened up to what's the real mystical essence of the Catholic faith. What impact do you think that has on people?
Well, so coming back to the time of Lent and going through that process, I think in our Catholic faith that is such a core element, because as we come to realize, our hearts are always restless until they rest in Thee. Those words, I think, are so evident in our lives, and the more we explore, the more we realize that to be the case. It's a case of the more we know, the more we realize how little we know. The deeper our relationship, the more we realize how far we've yet to go. And I think that with that, we realize that in our life, things aren't easy, and there are lots of challenges, and we're constantly being guided into other ways of, what advertising and the movies and so on are telling us. And that's why in our Catholic faith, in prayer, we go into this time of Lent And it's that quietening, deeper realization. And I think that where we are worshipping and looking at Jesus on the cross, which is what we criticized for often, that the risen Christ is not on the cross, he's there in glory, and we know that. But our daily activities, our blindness, our short-sightedness is constantly scarring others and limiting how much God can be himself in us and through us. And that is what keeps Jesus on the cross for us. That is what keeps us needing this time of Lent, this time, our time in that desert, which is where we are in these days, in our life, all the time. It's that questioning, seeking, desiring to be fed. It's this desert we are in our lives. Yes, we get our little times at the oasis, but we have a lot of that need to carry our cross. So in our Catholic faith, it's very much a case of that. We all have trials, we all have tribulations, we have hardships. We wish life were hunky-dory, but there never is a happy ever after. But on picking up that cross and carrying that cross, we have that knowing, and we get little tastes of it along the way, of what comes beyond in this very short life we live, that we get little tastes of what happens at Easter, that resurrection, that defeat of death, that which gives life meaning, that which makes us a part of the whole, the Almighty, the Eternal. And so that's what keeps us in this Lent, and that's what makes this Lent such an enriching, exciting thing. Yes, hard, but you know, as any person studying any subject, or great athletes in becoming fantastic cyclists or super fit, none of it comes by sitting. You know,
all hard work.
It's all the hard work.
Yes.
And yeah.
Now, part of the process, because with your catechumens, is it weekly that we meet, or fortnightly?
Yes,
weekly?
It is weekly. So again, this is our group, it's in Benedict's, and different groups might be different, and perhaps if you're doing it over a 3-year cycle, it might be otherwise. I think for people who are doing an intense session, which sometimes people might want to do when it's the funeral of a loved one, or something makes them have an urgency, or people sometimes on the deathbed, it might be quite different. And then the priorities might be different too. But here what we've chosen is this period of time where we do it once a week. And in that once a week, there's a lot of food given to chew on through the week ahead. There's that basic celebration which we'll come to be a part of in our Catholic faith, the weekly Mass as well, and finding forms of prayer in our daily life, and ideally what becomes our every moment of existence, in the back of our thoughts, our actions, our living, being a living prayer, a living instrument of God.
When people are at these weekly meetings, the catechumens are not alone, are they? They have a sponsor.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, I mean, different things, you would have incidences, and that originates, I think, because a person wanting to find out more about the faith would have an individual who's in the faith guiding them and leading them, and that's essentially what a sponsor is. But what we've come to find is that so often somebody might be motivated to become a Catholic through a friend who's a Catholic, but what we realize more and more is that people who are brought up to be Catholic go to church on Sundays, and as I know we all have a lot to learn, I've got a lot to learn, but generally speaking, Catholics themselves don't often know everything about what their Catholic faith is about. And what is this thing that I'm saying on Sunday, and what are these things I'm doing, and what is Easter, what is Lent, what is Advent, what is Easter and Christmas and things like that. So because those people often don't have enough sustenance to then feed others, we get together in a group and do it together. So people would come along to our group with their sponsor, and sponsors love it just as much.
Yes. Yes. Sounds as though the sponsor might learn as much as the catechumens.
Absolutely. In fact, as we find out, we all learn. I learn. Everybody does learn. And we have our parish priests who come along and so on, and they all say, everybody, how much we feed on it.
And we feed on time, and we're out of time.
Okay.
So we'll go to a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Mani Allah, Alleluia, Mani Allah.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony in Diversity, and we're speaking with Nicole Pryor of St Benedict's Catholic Parish in Burwood. And we're speaking about the RCIA. With the RCIA, because you're following people through week by week in this particular case, and with people, between 5 and 10 people at any particular time, you must have seen some changes in people, some interesting developments. Would you like to illuminate some of those?
Yes, I think generally speaking, perhaps the thing that you see common to all is that build-up of excitement and realizing that no question is sort of not allowed or doesn't lead to an exciting answer, things like that. You find that people always grow in an excitement for their faith, and that love for it, and the love to share, and the desire to inquire.
And you mentioned in the previous segment about the fact that oftentimes the parish priest is available during those sessions. Does that enrich the sessions? Do people respond to that?
Absolutely, and I think it's one of those things of, because it is so multifaceted, the more opinions you get, the more viewpoints you hear, the more, and I mean certainly our parish priest or somebody like that is far more learned than I am. I'm the individual who's lived it, loves it, practices it, wants to share it, but I'm not the theologian and the historian and the person that a parish priest might be, the person who can come and give so much other feeding. So, and then we'd have visitors, people who come and share a little bit of their viewpoint or their aspect of the faith, or just gives other dimensions.
Yeah, so it really, by bringing in visitors, you're really attempting to enrich and explain and develop. So coming into the Catholic faith, the RCIA, other Christian religions don't have that. Why do you think they don't?
Well, I can't speak for them and say why they don't. I think I must just perhaps accent a bit further why we do, because we feel that we are just members of this one faith. So if I am becoming a Catholic, it's not me standing alone being a Catholic and my belief system. It's being a part of this greater whole. So that's the whole thing, is we are becoming members of a family. And on being members of the family, there's that relationship in all, and we part of that whole. And so we need that time of initiation, that time of getting to know before we commit. And
it's almost like a marriage, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's
so with the people in the catechumens, do you see this awareness of the family, awareness of the impending wedding, if you like?
Yes.
The awareness of the mysticism of mystical components of Lent and the crucifixion.
Yes.
That grows in people. You can see that the awareness is lighting up.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I think, like all relationships, all subjects you might study, the more you know, the more you become excited about it, the more is revealed to you, the more conviction you have, and the more relationships with people who share that faith grow. And I think what lots of Catholics, those ones who might be sponsors and come along to church, think that it's my little faith and I can attend and go and do what suits me, we realize that it is this community, this belief, and that we can't hang on to anything. It's that constant giving that allows us to be this channel, this instrument. It's being our part of that community that allows me to put into practice my faith and hence be fed.
In the feeding, what sort of texts do you use? You clearly would use quotations from the Bible, but is there anything else that any other Catholic doctrine?
Yes. Well, there is so much, and so many people have written their little books and DVDs and things that cover that faith. But there's a man who first spoke to me about RCIA, and as they say, there's no set way of doing it, because every situation is unique. Everybody's knowledge is different. Everybody's level of faith, personality, it's different every time. You know, that the painting will never be the same. It's a following one by one step at a time that gives it its shape and its colour. But we have got those fundamentals, which is our Catholic faith, which we've got our book of the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which has little answers to every little question. What is it I believe? There's the fact in it. So we do a little bit of that questioning there, but we've always got those things to refer to. So we've got our basic Bible, what our Christian faith is all about, and beyond that, the Catechism of the Catholic Church, what that's all about. And we learn those little bits of it in that short period of time through that cycle of our year's activities in the Mass.
Yes. Yes, the Catechism itself is a fairly detailed document, isn't it?
It is. So whatever your question might be, whether it's on sort of life itself, or what this Eucharist might be, or what our belief of saints might be, or marriage, or absolutely any question, the Catholic viewpoint of that question that people ask in life is in this book.
I'll bet there's one thing in there that's not in there, and that's the meaning of time, because we've just run out of that again.
Never enough.
No, there isn't. Thank you so much, Nicole, for that explanation of the RCIA. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu